Hi everyone, it's the Comic Fan Man here, coming at you with another video. And in today's video, I wanted to kick off something a little bit different than what I normally do. Normally I am a Masters of the Universe collector, specifically Masterverse, and the new Eternia line is kind of my jam. And as of recently, I was looking for the Masters of the Universe Origins Rio Blast, but instead of finding him, I found the MOTU Classics version of him for a little bit, for a lot less than what the actual Origins figure was. So I bought him, and then he triggered some other nostalgic memories for me, and that made me go down another little rabbit hole for some other figures that I wanted, and here they are. I decided I wanted to get the vintage Mattel Bravestarr figures, Marshal Bravestarr and Tex Hex. And you know, these figures actually aged really well. Like, they definitely fit in my collection. They were, for its day, these figures, I remember they're huge. These are like 8-inch. And I think that was one of the things that kind of killed the line, is like the figures were so big that you really couldn't play with any of the other figures with them. Because they were just really like at the 8-inch scale, because they did have some battery powered stuff, which I don't have. There was a version that came with battery powered backpacks that had like a really weird sound feature to them. If you go to Hebro's channel, he does show them off. They make really annoying sounds. I remember playing with them in my mom's house, and I think my mom finally just, like, she had enough of all the noise that I was making with them. She threw a shoe over my head, and that was my warning not to do it anymore. But I bought the base figures. This Marshal Bravestarr came with the hat and the gun, which is the hardest thing to find on the loose Marshal figures. And the hat by itself normally goes for about $30 to $40. I'm like, damn, y'all are like eating on nostalgia for reals, people. But I was able to find the figure, the hat, and the gun. I got the vest separately. And then for Tex Hex, I just got the figure, and he came with this gun as well. This is not his normal gun. Normally his guns were gold. The silver gun was Bravestarr's. And he also came with, he had a harness of his own, but I kind of made one myself here. And I also used the Masterverse Man-at-Arms belt here, just to give him a little extra. And he looks really cool. And I don't have, obviously, his daggers, so I just threw in a different dagger there. And I also don't have the rifles, so I gave him one of the guns from McFarlane Toys. It works really well because, you know, he's at the 8-inch size. And I did the same thing with Marshal Bravestarr here. This is one of the McFarlane Toys guns here. And then this is the Tomahawk axe from Buzz-Off. And I made little wire hooks here, so that way it fits on his harness so he can hold them there. In the cartoon, Marshal Bravestarr did use a tomahawk every now and again. And so that's why I put it there. And obviously the little red crystal here is just a little red Lego piece. You could find like a bag of 100 of these for like $10 on eBay. So I am gonna get some more. I just bought one because I wanted to see what it looks like, and it's really cool. So I did buy some more. so that I can have some carry-em lying around, which was the whole MacGuffin thing of the world of New Texas, where Marshal Bravestarr is working. And yeah, I think they're really, really good figures. They're solid. The plastic is really good on these. The 3030 figure is uber expensive if you can find him complete, but he's also like super brittle. I remember, I believe my cousins had him. I never got him. I just had Bravestarr and Tex Hex, but my cousin had, they had 3030, and they also had, I believe it was his deputy, I think Deputy Fuzz with his vehicle. They had that. But here, let's take a quick look at Marshall here. His hat comes off, really cool. Very neat. He's obviously stained, been around for a while, but look. 1986 Filmation. So Marshal Bravestarr did not belong to Mattel. It actually belonged, it was an idea by Filmation, and Mattel licensed it. So Mattel has not done anything with Bravestarr as of recently. But if they want to, I think they have to pay whoever has the licensing now for Bravestarr, which I'm not exactly sure who owns it now. And yeah, just want to show you all the detail on him. And like I said, you know, he was done really, really well. The figure does hold up even till today's standards. His arm here, the right arm, is the one that has the shooting feature. You put in his neutral laser, which is what it was called. And there's a button in the back here. Hold on. He's a little old, so I have to kind of angle his arm just right, because you know what happens when you get old? The joints don't work as well as they used to. But there's this little button here. Let's just take these off so you can see. There's a little button here, and you press that button and it activates his gun shooting pose. You can have his gun on the side there, and oh yeah, you see, you gotta find the right angle. He's old, just like me. Like, I move my joints and they just start cracking and squeaking just like this. But yeah, that's how it works. And Tex Hex has the same feature. Let me just remove his stuff from his back. And that was the play feature back then. You were just supposed to put their guns in their hands, and then you draw, partner. Oh, his arm is actually better than Bravestarr's. All right, he was exercising. He's loose. So yeah, that was the play feature. You would have them lined up, draw. And then, like I said, if you had that laser sound backpack, yeah, you could definitely drive your parents crazy, because it was just an awful sounding mechanism. And also, it also worked with the play set. Like, there were some play set sensors that if you shoot the laser at it, it would cause some like explosions and stuff. So that was also fun. This hat is not Tex Hex's hat. This is actually this is actually some party favor from the dollar store, and I just put some Velcro on the inside to line it, just to give it a nice stay right there. And there you go. Really, really cool. Now let's take a look at Tex Hex here, because he is definitely one of my favorite villains from back in the day. You can see, take off the hat. Look at that. He's like Skeletor's cousin with a mustache. I love that look. I've always loved his look. He really had like a the bad guy from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Angel Eyes. He kind of has those kind of features on his face. Really, really cool. And again, the detail goes all the way down. They really did a nice job on his shirt, the gloves here. The body is basically the same buck. It's just like the boots are different. As you can see there, the boots, the gloves are different. And obviously the faces are different. But it's basically the same body figure. Very much like what Mattel would do with the Masters of the Universe figures. And yeah, really, really cool. I really dig the way Tex Hex came out. He's just such an interesting looking figure with the silver hair and the dead face. Very cool. Love it, love it, love it. All right. And again, this is all Real Blast's fault. But now I just want to show you that I was able to put some dudes together to make a little bit of a Marshal Bravestarr collection here with some kit bashing. All right, first of all, let's do something a little different. Let's pretend Marshal Bravestarr was actually played by Clint Eastwood. How do you think he would look? Here he goes, Marshal Bravestarr with a poncho. I think that looks really good. So this is the cape from Maestro Union's Blade Master Wang. And he is in the 8-inch scale. And as you can see, he fits Marshal Bravestarr beautifully. This cape is really cool if you want to give him that poncho look. Make him look like a Clint Eastwood styled hero. Yeah, I think that looks really good and it fits perfectly. So that's Marshal Bravestarr with that Clint Eastwood look. Now another big character in the show was Judge JB McBride, and she was a figure they never got to make. So they had plans for her. I think she was supposed to be like in the second wave, but they never released her. So I kind of kit bashed my own here using Revelation Evelyn's body with version 2 Tila's head. And there she goes, the Judge JB McBride. This is very much in line with the suit that she had in the cartoon. The only difference is that she had full sleeves. But the suit from JB McBride looks very much like this Evelyn outfit. So I was like, yeah, let me just switch out the heads. Let me give her the Tila redhead look, and yeah, she looks fantastic. I gave her, I had gotten a couple of extra of these bags here, so I gave her like the bags crossed over, and JB McBride always had the Hammer of Justice that was given to her by the Prairie people. So here I have a hammer here, and I can put that in her hand over yonder. So that way she has the Hammer of Justice. I gave her just like a little random gun over here. And yeah, I think that looks really, really good. And this is the hat from the Asura, the Red Demon hat. It's the only kind of hat that really kind of fits her. I did try one of these party favor hats on her, but it didn't fit. Her head is too small. But this hat works nicely. I think it really kind of makes her look really, really good. Another major hero in the cartoon was 3030, and I don't have a 3030, but I do have the new Stridor from the Origins line. And I did not have the 3030 vintage figure either. My cousins had him, but I did have the vintage Stridor figure. So I always used Stridor as my 30-30. And as I will show you now, with this Stridor, yeah, Bravestarr does fit quite nice. Because the articulation on these figures are actually pretty good. They got these kind of ball joints on the hips, and so it allows you to like set them out in different positions here. And look, he fits there, and you can sit him all the way down properly. You could put the reins in his hands, which is neat. There you go. So here we have Bravestarr with a 30-30 styled Stridor. This one doesn't want to stay. There it goes. And I think that looks really good. With the Stridor. Let's move these out of the way and push them back a little bit. And look, I think he fits nicely as part of this Stridor. And the vintage Stridor did not have articulation, so he was always a horse. But check this out. This Stridor does have articulation. And so the play feature of 30-30 was basically you can turn him humanoid just by standing him up. Like there really wasn't much to 30-30 to turning him into a humanoid bipedal horseman. But over here, Stridor can do exactly the same. Look at this. So now Stridor can officially be my 30-30. I just moved his head down, and there you go. Standing him straight up. I tied some hands so that way he can hold a gun. So this is another McFarlane Toys gun here, and so I'm using this as my substitute for Sarah Jane. I know Sarah Jane is more of a shotgun cannon, but I think this is all right. And as you can see, I can line them up here with Bravestarr. And you have Bravestarr and his big pard. Bravestarr. And I think that looks really cool. Making him look like a 30-30. His tail is what's holding him up, so he's basically got his two legs and the tail. But yeah, I think this works out really good. It's not 30-30, but I'm excited to put him up with him. I think this works out really, really well, especially with the fact that he can. This is basically the same play feature that the vintage 30-30 figure was. Like there was no like transforming him. You just basically stood him up. He still looked like a horse on two legs. So why not just leave it this way? I think this is fantastic. All right, so these were the kit bashes that I was able to do for a couple of Bravestarr figures, but that's kind of not fair. Like, Tex Hex needs a partner too. So as I was looking through the cartoon, I realized there is another character that I have a figure that I can kit bash to make. And here he is. I wanted to make a Thunderstick. He's a sort of a cyborg character who always repeats what he says.
Looky here, what I caught. A jailbreaker. You're under arrest, Deputy Fuzzbuzz.
And he's got the brown hat here. He's got like he actually has like a cape. So I'm using Trap Jaw because he actually is just Bravestar's version of Trap Jaw, except he's like all chromed out silver. The figure is really cool, but really super expensive to get. I don't know, they priced him, his secondary market price is really kind of crazy. I think it's because of because they use vac metal paint on him, so I guess if you find it in good condition, I guess that's really worth quite the penny, because I've seen him for like, you know, $150 to $200, which is kind of crazy to me, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, I guess if you really want it, you pay the price. But I kind of give him this little, was the Trap Jaw's vest from Revelation anyway. I just cut it open to make it look like a like a trench coat type thing for him, and I used one of the party favor brown hats on him. And yeah, so now Trap Jaw is Thunderstick and Bravestarr, and now Tex Hex has a partner to go along with him. Get along, little doggy. All right, so here is my idea for a Bravestarr MOTU crossover, and I think this looks great. So yeah, back in the day, there was an idea to have Bravestarr crossover with Masters of the Universe. The idea was that Bravestarr had somehow witnessed one of He-Man's heroic feats, and that's kind of what inspired him to become the hero that he is as Marshal Bravestarr. But here, my idea would be to have the evil Horde attack New Texas in order to get the Carium. And then with that threat, that would unite everyone from New Texas to help fight off the Horde. So obviously I would have Tex Hex and Thunderstick here trying to help Marshal Bravestarr to fight off the evil Horde. And I think that would be an amazing way to get Bravestarr into the MOTU universe. Because as we all know, the evil Horde is an intergalactic force that conquers all. So yeah, I could definitely see, like, you know, maybe Horde Prime and Stampede get into a fight, and that would be why Tex Hex and Thunderstick would join Marshal Bravestarr to help fight off the evil Horde, because now there's something even more evil than they are. As it is, you know, Tex Hex is a citizen of New Texas, so he would be defending his planet against this evil Horde invader. Yeah, I think this would be an amazing idea to tie Bravestarr back into MOTU. And as you can see, now that Masterverse exists with all the figures, now they play nicely with these vintage Marshal Bravestarr figures. You know, for the longest time, like, you know, these Marshal Bravestarr figures were gigantic compared to everything else, especially in the 80s, where everything was like in the 3 and 4 inch scale, except for MOTU, which was like 5.5. But yeah, they look perfect in this display now, and I love it. So yeah, we have here the evil Horde attacking New Texas for Carium. I think that's great. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane to take a look at these vintage Mattel Tex Hex and Marshal Bravestarr figures. Again, when all of this is Real Blast's fault over here, he's the one that kind of opened this up for me. As soon as I got this Real Blast, you know, it just kind of brought up all those feelings for Bravestarr again. And, you know, it was nice that I was able to find him and Tex Hex on eBay, and they are very nicely priced. They are like, you know, you can find them without any of this stuff. If you just get the base figures, you can get them for like $15. And as you can see, you know, their articulation and everything really holds up even to today's standards. They're really posable. And I was able to get the rest of his stuff through eBay, and then, you know, kit bashing the rest of the other players from New Texas here, you know, Thunderstick, Judge JB, using Strider for 3030, and the McFarlane Toys guns for Sarah Jane here, and the Marshall's rifle and Tex Hex rifle. Yeah, it's just, oh man, it was so nice. Oh, and I did get my my Carium order. I got these little plastic gems here from Amazon. It was like $6 for like a pack of like a 1 pound bag or something like that. And it's really cool. It looks and it reflects just like the Carium did. It's kind of has that orangey red glow to it, so that's really cool. So yeah, I can actually make like a New Texas display with this stuff, which is really neat. Yeah, Marshal Bravestarr was definitely one of my favorite cartoons and figures from back in the 80s. Obviously, the only issue is that back then, you know, the size of these figures made them impossible to play really like with the other figures, because everything else was like in the 3 to 4 inch line. Masters of the Universe were like the biggest figures back then, and that was only 5.5 inch, somewhere around there. So these guys were like ginormous, but they were big because they had that really weird like laser tag styled play feature to them with the battery powered backpacks. So those battery powered backpacks would definitely not have worked with smaller figures. That's why these were so big. But again, I would not be activating those backpacks if I were y'all, because you might get a random chancla flying around. Because man, for me, I remember as a kid, I thought that was like the coolest sound, but when I heard it again as an adult, I was like, wow, I can see why my mom got so mad. But yeah, kit bashing, JB McBride here with Tila and Evelyn from Masterverse, and using Trap Jaw from Masterverse to make Thunderstick here. It's nice that Masterverse, it's in the 7-inch scale, so it's only a little bit smaller than this. Not like in the 80s where everything else was like super tiny. So now these Marshal Bravestarr vintage figures, it works with the modern toy line. So, in that aspect, they were kind of ahead of their time. Back in the day, Filmation and Mattel, unfortunately, though, they kind of mismanaged it, and it kind of the end of both of their major runs at the time. Actually, it was the end of Filmation completely. If you want to check out a quick retrospective on what happened back then, Secret Galaxy, Marvelous Videos, and Toy Connections, they all did a history video on each of their channels, and I would definitely suggest you check it out because it's very informative and very, very, very well done on all 3 parts. And then it just gives you such a nice look back as to like, wow, the ideas and everything that they had, unfortunately they just were not able to just get it done properly. But even though even though it might not be considered like a success, like Filmation still did 65 episodes for the show, and it did get a movie. But the whole problem was, from my understanding in the video, is the whole problem is that Mattel released a figure before the cartoons ever came out, almost a year before the cartoons came out. And unfortunately, like everything back then, you either needed like a cartoon, a movie, or a comic book to kind of tie into it for boy toys. And unfortunately, they didn't have that. But you know, they released the figures first, then they released the cartoons, and then they released the movie. And the movie was actually supposed to be a prequel to the TV shows. It's like the origins of New Texas and Marshal Bravestarr. So the way it should have been released was the movie with the figures and then the cartoons. That probably would have helped its staying power be a little bit longer. But, you know, it is what it is. It is still a piece of history now that I have back in my collection, and I'm really, really happy to have it. So if you feel that I've earned it, please give me a like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye now.